of people here. It's like talking to family. So I'm going to be a bit relaxed, or I'm not sure. Let's see how it goes. And I'm actually 63, so still young. Huh? So, but the thing is, Australian lifespan is 85. And they say that by age 62 to 65, you probably have you'll have to live with a disability. So, so this season is a season where we might, have to live with a disability. But this season is also a season where we get a chance to do a lot of things. So I think it's a good time. Some people call it rich years. I call it, I think it's rich years. We should think that way. So actually, when I was surveying, initially I wanted to give a talk giving some medical facts and all that. But in Australia, I think you can actually Google down a lot of facts. Just there are a lot of channels you can go into, like the hospitals, like Peter McCallum has a lot of booklet on how to avoid cancer, what sort of things you can do. And then Royal Children have a lot of things when you take care of your grandchildren, what sort of facts you want to know. Then we have Olivia Newton-John also has a lot. And then we got WHO, we got the Australian, so many channels. I think the problem is not about information, but it's about too much information and how do you navigate. So I thought about that, and I thought I will tell you my journey, because how I navigate it, and perhaps that will be quite useful. So I had breast cancer diagnosed at age 60. It was diagnosed when I did a mammogram. It was a bit delayed because of COVID. And they said I had a normal mammogram, called me, and then straight away see the surgeon. So I was working in Marlborough. So, and I don't have any GP in Melbourne. So it was like suddenly somebody gave you something, and then you have to navigate the whole course. So, I think when you get this diagnosis, the first thing I feel that time I wanted to do was to gather a team, like people who will be able to help you navigate, So one of the things I think missing in my whole team was a GP. So on thinking about it, if I have a GP, I probably will be in a better situation to be able to assess the surgeons or oncologists or all that. But still, my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law, they are all both doctors, so that does help a bit. I try not to impose so much, but they do help a lot. But still, there is this private and confidential relationship and trusted relationship with a GP that's quite important, that helps you to navigate through. So I did try my own, and then first you must have in any sort of thing, in your team, you want a surgeon in your team, and oncologists, and pharmacies, physiotherapists, they are all working on behalf. So you collect them, and then you listen to them, you gather evidential information from them, and then you weigh, and I weigh them. Yeah. So that's very important, because if you go to TikTok, you go to internet, you get all sorts of information. They actually are quite scary. I actually spend half of my time in any consultation trying to diffuse Dr. Google. I have to sort of start from the beginning and say, no, this is, So you want to have the right person, people who are evidence-based in your team. On that, I want to share about two of my nieces. One niece who had breast cancer below age 40. Another niece who had breast cancer also below age 40. One was not a Christian, very anxious, decided not to go for surgery, didn't have the surgeon on board, and died. Another one had surgery, but didn't want to have the oncologist on board, decided to go for the SINSET. And, they spoke her, and she decided not to have any chemo, and the story goes onwards. So, you want the right person on board for you, whatever form. Always form a team. They are all When we also discuss any cases, we also do a multidisciplinary case study. So what you can do is on your own. You build up your own team, and then that will help you to negotiate and navigate some parts of your illness. And I think that's quite useful. So now about all this disinformation, and trusting and putting your, kind is a way in the faith. But the most of all is, I was very privileged to be a Christian since I was age 13. So it's been a long journey with my God. So, and I think the very basis of my life, which is evidence-based, is the Bible, which gives us the words of life. Yeah. If you think about the Bible, it's probably more existent long time before any of this evidence in the medical. And if you think about the Bible, it has archaeological findings that is consistent. And the narrative of the Bible is about the good news. And so that's part of my journey, is that at the age of 13, I have accepted the Lord. So that was one of my privileges and blessings. And then if you turn to Philippians 4, 6, 7, I'm trying to hopefully make this short, and if you want to ask some questions, if I can answer, I'm more than happy. I'm still working 1 day a week to put my little toe inside, and it does help a bit. So if you look at Philippians 4, 6, and 7, so how do we live how do I live with my cancer? After knowing all this, I had mastectomy, I had chemo, partial, and then I had targeted therapy. And then how do you live with the cancer? I think the Philippians 4, 6, 7 says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your minds and will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Yeah. So first, I am blessed because I know Christ quite young. Secondly is, I feel I'm blessed because I've journeyed with Him for so many years, and He has proven Himself to be good in every occasion. He has answered my prayer. So this journey is just another part of my journey. Yeah. So it's not. So I'm quite. So this verse to me is very important to me, because when you are assailed with so much information, so much uncertainty, you can always talk to God, and God has always answered me. So there is this kind of peace that transcends. So the peace of God to me is not a peace without, it's not like you don't have any problems. The peace of God to me is about finding the right relationship and being in the right place and in the right time. That to me is the peace of God. Yeah. Because the peace, the word shalom actually means that in the right slot. Yeah? And that will give you the peace. I think that I was reading a book called Peace in Life and Peace at Death. So that's peace in life. And when you die, people talk RIP, which means rest in peace. Why do they say that? What is this peace that we are talking about? Is that we have peace with God. Peace, God who begins you. He is your creator, the origin, and He is the one that's going to bring you to the next phase. So that's peace with God. And then peace with yourself, because God, in His mercy, forgive us. So whatever mistakes we have made. Because when you are at this stage, when you're at your cross of life, sometimes you feel that there is so much to be done, so much to be corrected. But God, in His mercy, has forgiven you, and you can move on. I feel that gives you a less of a burden and a relief to be able to move on in life. And then peace with in the world, people, your spouse. When you live with your spouse, there are a lot of problems. We are two sinners trying to, so forgiving each other in the Lord. You get peace with your spouse, peace with your children. We are all not perfect parents. We are one-time parents. We don't get a second chance, and we do make mistakes. And God, in His grace, give us that stand to be able to move on. And then peace with our grandchildren and peace with the world, whatever that we have done that has not been right. It doesn't mean that we don't repent. It doesn't mean that we don't correct. But at that, it gives you that peace. I think to me, part of my topic is about, I put that lest we forget, is to remember all these things. Remember how God is good to us. Remember God is still with us. Remember God will take us along this journey. And then part of my topic was the art of dying is how do we live? Not that we die, but how then shall we live? And I think we need to live in peace. Peace with ourselves, peace with God, peace with our family, and peace with the world. That's how I feel. That's how I'm trying to think about it, and yeah. So when I was given the diagnosis, and then you are given the prognosis. Prognosis means they tell you, they give you this sort of stats. 95% you get, another 5% you get if you do this, another 2% you get. But when you hear all this, 100% you'll die lah. That's how it starts. 100% you'll die, 95% you won't die if you do this and all that. So that's about the prognosis. So if you know about that, you know about this treatment, it's all quite vague, and you know that medicine is always on the move. Medicine is always changing. One time egg is bad, now egg is good. Coconut oil is bad, coconut oil is good. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Yeah, but in God we can still move on. We can still navigate. We can still be stable. We can still trust. We don't have to be anxious about all these things. People ask me, is egg now bad? I say, is egg coconut oil bad? That sort of things, yeah. And I tend, at the end of the days, after I finished in 1960, after 1 year, I thank God that I can do my treatment here. Anti-cancer treatment is terribly expensive, so make sure you are well protected in this sense. I thank God for the years that God has given me, and I want to look at it as the years of looking forward, because we are not finishing. We are actually on a journey to a new heaven and a new earth and a new body, and I'm looking forward to it. New body. At least I'll be whole. I had mastectomy, so I'm telling you that. So for these precious years, so why my topic, lest I forget, is I want to remember my priorities, my things. So for the years that God has granted me, so that's the peace. And also I want to continue to strengthen those legacies that I have. Like my children, you all spend 2 decades of your prime life. You want to strengthen your children's, that they can be able to, you want to strengthen and continue to equip them so that they can continue to spread the gospel about the good heaven and earth. So you want to equip your children. Not be tired. They say, go away, but you can always be a watch guard. You want to give them space, but you also can be their watch guard. You don't have to be in the way. You know what I mean? You want to give them space to grow, but you can be their watch guard. And you want to also, if you get a chance, to serve and equip your grandchildren. Don't see it as a lot of Asians say, I've done my duty. But it's a privilege, because your grandchildren is going to live much, much longer. They can be equipped, even as young, to be able to pass on the legacy for fruitfulness and redeeming the heaven and the earth. That's how I see it. Yeah. And I feel love is the main trust for all that. I feel that the new heaven and new earth, earth better than I have, if I leave it, and when I come back, it's going to be better. And then because I'm still continuing my journey and I'm still improving, I hope to come back more improved as well with a new body. So meanwhile, here I think I need to talk a little bit of medicine, so don't waste your time. So what do I do as a self-care? Yeah, self-care. So now that everything is, so what do I do for self-care? I think study shows that if you are active 150 minutes a week, then it helps the muscles, because our muscles is a lot. It's represented a lot in our brain. So if you exercise it, your brain will be quite vibrant. So when they talk about 150 minutes, they're actually talking about 150 minutes of moderate exercise. Yeah. So we're talking about doubles of tennis, brisk walking, swimming. All those are, I will call moderate exercise if you Google. Vigorous exercise is about half an hour to 40 minutes. We are talking about singles tennis, running, that sort of thing. So I play tennis with 80-year-old Aussies, and they can hit a good ball, a good hit. So Joe also plays good golf before the operation. So at his age, it's good. He walk 4 hours, it's good. So we need to be very vigorous about exercise for Asians, because I think we got the wrong concept that we need to retire means we need to sit down and take a back seat. No. This is the time where you take longer, but because you are retired, you have more time, you can do it, yeah? So that's how I see. So that's my self-care. I play tennis 3 times a week. I do paddling because I'm a breast cancer survivor. So I do paddling 1 or 2 times a week. Yeah, and this is my regime. So that's how, and I play competitive tennis, so that's how we do it. And then after that, there's the diet. When you're older, you need to increase your protein by 20% because we lose our muscles. So we actually have to eat more protein because when our mouth and muscles all becomes weak, we tend to go into soft food and carbohydrate easy to digest, but actually we need, so you can increase your eggs, you can increase your beans, all that. So you need to build up your muscles. And then you need to have proper sleep, 8 to 10 hours. So that means if you want to exercise, you must exercise 4 hours before you sleep. Otherwise, in sleep hygiene, you will have problem. So in sleep hygiene means no computer at night. You go to your bed same time of the day, and then you have dark lights because they say bright lights actually stimulate more anxiety. Then you have coolness. I think the temperature should be between 18 to 20 so that you will be able to sleep. And then you don't eat beforehand because if you have high glucose, you won't be able to sleep because your mind will be too active. So these are some of the sleep hygiene. You can Google them. They are quite. And then what else they're talking about? Social. So you need to be at least once a week be out and about, meeting. Try to go out and buy things, try whatever, so that you can interact with people. That's social, that's physical, that's diet. And then also, with regard to diet, not only just protein, I think there's some studies talk about gut microbiome, which is a new thing, so you want to be taking some fermented things. These are all not proven, but I don't see any harm in taking fermented things. Kimchi, sauerkraut, tempeh, all these are quite good to protect your gut, because the problem is when you're old, you end up taking a lot of antibiotics, yeah? Like me, chemo, plum, everything gone. So you have to, replenish all these things. So that comes through gut microbiome, fermented foods, kombucha. Be careful about kombucha, there's a bit of mixed bacteria. Sometimes you may not be up to it. Or cafe, all these things are quite good. And I think vitamin D is good, calcium is good because Asians are known to be very osteopenic. Osteoporosis is one of our main problems because we don't have enough muscles and we are all very small frame, so we are prone to. So you want to be doing that as well, which I'm doing. Yeah, I take calcium, I take vitamin D, I take microbiome to help my microbiome because the chemo kills everything, then these sort of things. I increase my protein, so I take eggs every day, and that sort of things. So, but despite your self-care, you still accept your limitations. There is limitations, but maybe that's the privilege of this time. I only work 1 day a week, which means I got 4 days to do all these things, so that's okay. Yeah, take our time and all that. Yeah. And then they also say you need to exercise your brain. So I do. I learn French and in a U3A, it's free, so it's good. And then you get, say, either learn a language or instrument just to tickle your brain, or you can do. But my husband do theological studies. That's even more ticklish. I just do the easy one. Yeah. So. Meanwhile, I think besides our children, we also have, a lot of us have accumulated physical legacies. I think in sense of our things we have and our money we have. So I for myself, I like to think that I'm pointedly giving away. I'm enjoying it with my grandchildren, my children, you know? Like, so wherever opportunity you can, or I give to missionaries or whatever opportunities you can, you pray about it and you give it away. It's probably meaningful to yourself. That's one thing. And finally, I want to talk about at the end of the day, you want to think about how you want to live your life. The oncologists tell me this, that. At the end of the day, you have to decide how you want to live your life. What sort of life you want to have. And I think one way is to do advanced care directive. Anybody do the advanced care directive? Advanced care directive is something you do with your GP, saying you don't want to be resuscitated and all that. Yeah. So when I had my chemo, on my 7th cycle, I had a lot of numbness, and that would have mean I wouldn't be able to walk properly. Because my cancer wasn't that advanced. When I talked to a few oncologists, they said I could actually defer on my treatment and just go on to targeted treatment. So I did defer on the chemo. I only take 7 because it was too harsh for me. So that's. But even when I do that, I'm trusting the Lord that it will be all. And finally, it's God who actually called. And I would like to think positively, like I'm now actually doing my final witness. I feel I want to do, I know it's taboo, but I want to be able to testify in my funeral. I'm actually doing my own, trying to think about my own songs, what sort of things I want to have in the obituary. That will be my final witness before I leave. That is how I think about it. So at every part of my life, you get any opportunity, we testify, because God has been good to us. If you get an opportunity to testify, it'll be quite good. Okay, that's my my talk. Yeah. If you have any questions, if I can answer it, you can either talk to me after that. I think it's probably better. Yeah.
You probably have to stay there. Yeah. I think people have questions to answer. Questions, huh? I think there's no other thing or no other event that make us face reality. That's facing our death, especially when we have a diagnosis like cancer. You know, I've been to deathbeds and a few occasions when people have to pull the plug, the life support. I stand with the family. No, those are precious moments that you cry with them. You feel the ache, you feel the pain, you feel the gravity of the moment. You know? And then as Christians, we know that dying is just another chapter, a door to a new thing, a new world. So we don't have that fear. And that's why we plan for our funeral, what song to sing and everything. And someone very taboo, Chinese don't talk about say, you know, death, and all the numbers 4 we don't use. Yeah, it's a celebration of life. And I think we change our paradigm. That means the way we see life, that what I want to use my life to be, you know, what I use my life as a blessing. Every time, because I know my God, I know all this reality, as firm, as sure as the ground that I stand on, I tell, whether they want to hear or not, you know, because the whole world have been enmeshed and indoctrinated by another system. So this system of believing in God and the reality of God is so alien and so new, you know. So we need to keep telling it, you know. So to the best ability, that's why we have church and that's why we have this and all. So because we tasted it, it's like a Bible has a story about some beggars. They were so starving, the whole city was starving, but they found some food, you know. So at first they just grind in there and eat all the food. After a while, I say, hey, if we just so selfish, found this source of goodness and everything, and we hide from all the people starving in the city, then we are not doing right. So they went back to the city, opened the floodgate, and people came out to enjoy it. Yeah. That's as simple as that. That's our great motivation of telling you about our God and everything. Yeah, I think the greatest difference is the funeral. A Christian funeral and the other funeral is very different. Yeah. Well, back to Hui Jin. We are family friends because our daughters are best friends. I used to follow their Facebook. They go skydiving, all kind of activities.
No,
Andrew.
skydiving. Yeah.
No. Andrew, yeah. So they've always been adventurous and very spontaneous. They think of going somewhere, they just go somewhere. They take a car and drive off. That's the type of life we should live. Mainly is the admire how she willing to share this when she face. It's difficult for the doctor when you treat all the other people when the reality hits you that you are just as fragile. We are all as fragile. We all have expiry date. When they face us, how we respond to it. Yeah. I believe your struggle when you see the first diagnosis is how can it be me? Yeah? You want to share a bit on that? The inner journey.
I was 60. I thought probably two things why it's sort of a little bit, because I did pray that God you will spare me this chemo. I see too much really, but then I had to go through it. And then I thought my cause of death would be more of a heart issue because of, but then, so, and then, you have such small breasts and you say you check every time, what's the, but then, well, it's God has different, how we say, the journey for me, so, but I'm glad I went through it, and then I can share about it, I think I might, now I can see my patients who have gone through chemo and I say, I salute you. So when I meet my breast cancer survivors, we have a long boat paddling, we know what we are talking about because some of them has actually go through quite a lot, and a lot of them are very young, so it's a good opportunity to minister. Yeah.
Any question from the floor?
Were you in the symposium just last week or 2 weeks ago, the cancer survivor?
Symposium which one?
Yeah, run by a group of ladies with cancer, and they.
Oh, I'm not. I don't think I was. I don't know. There's quite a lot of.
She had breast cancer as well, and she survived. So she's in our swimming group.
Oh yeah.
And just sharing how important it's like what you say,
Yeah.
exercises,
Yeah.
involve social media.
Yeah. Still, whether you got breast cancer or you don't have all those,
She's
still.
she's younger, she's 14.
Yeah, are still quite. Yeah, that's. I think we have quite a lot of phobia about cancer. I think, but I think there is still a lot of other things that we have, like dementia and all that. It's quite difficult to treat, right? Dementia, you don't even have a chance to think about it. Yeah, like cancer, at least I can still think about it and still do, but when dementia is really quite tough, actually.
Yeah.
What do you think of the blood test to detect breast cancer?
I think there's no blood test for breast cancer. Yeah.
Is
Marker.
Marker,
Not accurate.
I think the marker is promoted by the lab, but not used by the medical as a gold standard. We still do mammogram, we still do all these things. It's not a gold standard. There are a lot of things people advocate, but there are such things as called gold standards. Yeah, gold standard means accepted and by the medical fraternity. Yeah. So you have to be careful when you got, especially when you got cancer, you get assailed by many people with many
Information, overload.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think you need a team, somebody who helps you to negotiate all this, because you can be distracted, you can be overwhelmed by all this info. And I think to have a GP is quite important, or a good oncologist is also very important, or whatever, a cardiologist or whatever, because you can be, can actually be very distracted and it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, I think in Asian country, because you can pay for your service, sometimes there's a bit of profit, motivation, sometimes you get confused. You can get things treated fast, but it may not be as ethical as in the West, I suppose.
I think Australia is, I won't say the West, I mean, if you say the West and you talk about US, it's just as very commercial.
Paper, yeah.
I think if you talk about Australia, actually it's not bad because we try to marry between commercial and public services, and there is a little bit of protection. We are actually kind of like a nanny country, so there is some protection. I think if where you have the opportunity, like you say, there is breast cancer survivor talk here, talk there, talk there. There's many opportunities, so you should avail yourself. Yeah.
A lot of support groups. Huh?
And a lot of support group. I joined some support group. I think it's quite good to have some support group. Yeah.
Yep. I believe there are some ex-cancer survivor here as well. I wouldn't say survivor. I mean, people gone through some serious illness and things like that too. You know, sometimes you should share. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
How did you navigate from the discovery of the sickness into acceptance?
Yeah. I think basically, except how do I navigate between denial and acceptance? Yeah.
There's
I
a
think,
process.
To me, I think the idea that because I'm a Christian, I think helps. One is I know the world is not perfect. I know the world is not perfect. So just as all other illness can affect others, it can affect me as well. So that's not an issue. And then, so I'm quite the thing. And then the other thing is, I think I have a lot of support from my spouse, my family, my church members, and that has been like an overarching support of my life. So that helps me to kind of like stabilize a bit, yeah, rather than being drawn out and all that. So now that you're well, maybe you should strengthen all these institutions that will help you to navigate. I think that helps. And even though I don't have a GP, which would have make it easier to navigate, I have some good friends, and and some are medical people, so and oncology and all that. So I think the whole support institution we need to strengthen as we journey through. That's quite important, I feel. Yeah.
Friendship is very important. That's why we say the connect. That's why we organize this sort of meeting. At least you got one or two friends, And emotional health is so important nowadays. Medicals realize that now. If you are alone and isolated, it's so easy to get depressed and have a wrong view of the world. You got to have a wider and broad perspective of the whole world and existence. Yeah. Any more? Otherwise, we're gonna. It's a lunch. Ready?
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to testify.
Thank you so much.